Hey guys, it's Michael from Chess Lifestyle, and as I'm waiting for my wet hair to dry, so that I can film my chessable videos, I thought I'd actually film a Chess Lifestyle video for you guys. And today, what I wanted to cover was who I think will win the FIDE candidates for both the open section and the women's section in 2024. So far, 8 rounds have been played. These are all the candidates. If you haven't been living under a rock, then you'll know exactly who the candidates are. And currently, after 8 rounds, the standings are in the open section, Nepo and Gukesh on 5 out of 8. Then you've got Naka and Prague on 4.5, Caruana on 4, Vidit on 3.5, Ferrugia on 3, Abasov on 2.5. And yeah, to be honest, in the open section, when asked like who would win the candidates, my bet was Nepo from the start. This is who I said that I think will win, just because I really think the candidates suits his kind of style and form. And I said that Caruana, I didn't think that he'd have a good chance to win. And yeah, we see Caruana. I mean, he lost his game yesterday to Nakamura, but yeah, I just feel like to have that killer instinct to be number one out of this hungry pack of wolves, I just feel like it's not fair. Like, he's definitely probably objectively the strongest out of everyone, but and that means that he's definitely not going to come last. But to actually come number one is very, very tough. So yeah, I'll come back to this section in a bit to discuss who I think will actually be the winner of this year's candidates. And then we've got the women's section, and we have a three-way tie for first right now. We've got Goryak Sheena, Tingjie Lei, Zhongyi Tan, all on 5 out of 8. And then we've got Lagno, who's played very solidly this tournament on 4.5. Then we've got Humpy and Salamova on 3.5, Anna Murzychuk on 3, and Vaishali on 2.5. And it's funny actually because at the start of this tournament, I placed some bets on the candidates just for fun. And I actually took out my bet on Lagno against Vaishali because I kind of got a bit spooked how, so many people reckon that Vaishali would have an amazing tournament. And to me, I felt like, her inexperience of playing in the candidates and just her overall level, I felt like I wouldn't be able to compete. But then I also appreciated that, Lagno's definitely beyond her peak, I think, in terms of a player. So I felt like maybe I shouldn't risk the bet. But yeah, we see Vaishali is struggling a bit in this tournament. And she's not playing so badly. It's just like, yeah, the others just have that extra bit more consistency and solidness to their play, where I think that's paying off. Um, but yeah, in terms of who I think will win for both of these sections, let's actually start with the open section. Um, and I've actually got a pick for the Open, and actually who I think will win at this stage in the competition is actually Gukesh. I actually think he's going to score higher than Nepo, and the real reason is if you take a look at like his tournament so far, like if we start from round one, I mean he drew to Vidit round one, which is an okay result. Round two, he managed to beat Prague with the black pieces. Round three, again, he drew against Nepo. Round four, a draw against Caruana. Round five, Gukesh managed to beat Abasov. Round six, we have a draw against Nakamura. Round seven, this was where Gukesh lost in a time scramble against Ferrugia, which we'll come back to. And round eight, he managed to beat Vidit with the black pieces. So the reason why I think that Gukesh has the best chance to win this year's candidates is because, firstly, from these 8 rounds, Gukesh has shown that he's managed to win with the black pieces twice, which means that when it comes to it, I think if he needs to win on demand, he's got the kind of like playing style and repertoire that will be able to win on demand if needed. And I think actually, in terms of playing the stronger players, he's been very consistent. He's basically drawn all the heavy players like Nakamura, Nepo, Caruana, like these experienced players. So definitely he doesn't feel out of his depth when playing these stronger players. And I really think the fact that Gukesh beat Abasov as well, it shows that he's able to uh, play and beat the weakest link in the tournament, which not everyone has been able to do. And I think that since Gukesh has shown this skill already, it shows really good promise. And the only kind of mishap in an otherwise perfect tournament so far from Gukesh was the loss against Fallujah. And basically, this loss, um, it's 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 a really interesting one actually because both sides were actually very very low on time. As you can see in this position, Fallujah has a minute 51, and Gukesh is actually the one leading on time with 4 minutes 51. And this is, with no increment, right? And this is move 33, and they've still got like seven more moves to make the move 40. And Gukesh plays like the most principled move, a5, because for anyone who wants to have a quick scan of the position, we can quickly evaluate this and then try and understand what's happening. So basically, in this position, Fallujah has a knight versus Gukesh's three pawns. And generally, when you've got such an imbalance, you want to play on your strengths, right? So Gukesh starts pushing the pawns because that's the only way that these pawns are going to be able to be compensation for the knight. And Fallujah does very well to just simply activate his pieces, and you're going to see that's how he actually manages to win this. But clearly, both sides are in a time scramble. And to be honest, I think at this moment, actually, you see how Gukesh's time was on 4 minutes 51. And after this move, he spent almost half his time on this move to play a5, which is probably the most principled move. And you'll see that later, he really needs that time. And actually, it was around here, I think, where I think black needed to play the move b5 here in order to draw. And basically, these two pawns rushing down the board together will be compensation enough. And I think white would need to either sack the rook and have a draw, or like give a pipette, or something like this. So b5 would have been the move, and I reckon if Gukesh had a bit more time, he would have found this. But given his time situation and knowing that he still had to make several more moves, he actually blundered here. And Fallujah played fantastically. Like he played all the top engine moves, rook f3, rook takes f7, and then Gukesh got caught in this mating net, and also running out of time. So I think probably at this moment here, Gukesh had like frozen and couldn't make this move, even though he had to, and he ended up pretty much losing on time and losing on position in this complicated position. But objectively speaking, this was a draw, and in fact, actually earlier in the game, he had actually outplayed Fallujah again with the black pieces and got like a pawn up and a -1 objectively speaking position with more time on the clock. So I think that Gukesh definitely has the power to like win a lot more games in the rest of his tournament. And I think the biggest, when I was thinking like for a while now to like film this kind of video on like who I think will win the candidates, but I think now more than ever, it's clear because in the following round, Gukesh managed to win against Vidit with the black pieces and completely bounced back after his loss against Fallujah. And I think when you have such a tilting loss like that, you had outplayed your opponent in the middle game, you're 20 minutes to 7 minutes, and then 5 minutes to 1 minute on the clock, and you're completely in control, and then you manage to just self-destruct and lose. It really tests a player's character, and the fact that Gukesh was able to win the following round shows that he's got his head in the game, he's kind of locked in, and I really think that Gukesh has the best chances to win because I think Nepo is going to be very consistent for the rest of the tournament. I can predict a Nepo second place, but I think in previous candidates, Nepo didn't really have the same competition as players like Gukesh, who might feel that this is like this is their first chance, this could be their only chance, and they're feeling like, okay, I've got to lock in and just smash this tournament. And when you see Gukesh as a player, you've got to remember 2 years ago in the Chess Olympiad. If you've been following chess for a while, you'll probably remember this. But Gukesh absolutely smashed it on board one, scoring a whopping 9 points out of 11. And up until round 10, he was on 8.5 out of 9. And the players he was playing, you can see. Okay, you can't see because I'm probably blocking the view. Let me move my camera for a second. But yeah, you can see that down here. You can see like who Gukesh played, and like he's beating like 2500, Alexei Shirov, Armenia's board one, Sarkisian, who is an absolute beast when it comes to these Olympiad team championships, and even beating Caruana in round 8. So an absolute phenomenal tournament, and he had one loss against Abdusattorov, which is no shame. Like Abdusattorov is an absolutely incredible player as well. But what we can see about Gukesh, and I think a lot of players forget about this, is that Gukesh is a very streaky player. Like even though he's got a very calm demeanor, He's an extremely streaky player, and right now I think he's got all the seeds to be playing a fantastic candidates tournament, and I really think there's actually really great chances that he's going to win. So my bet, based on the current score, based on everything I've seen, I reckon Gukesh is going to take this. And then, as for the women's section, if we come back to these standings, there's a three-way tie for first place. So you might think anything is possible, but I think in these kind of tournaments, momentum is a really important thing. And I'm actually going to be vouching for Tingjie Lei to take this event. I mean, I was kind of vouching for her from the start, and I am a big fan of her play and her character. But I really think that actually, given the most recent events, I think that she's got the best chance because if we look at the different rounds, right? Um, Tingjie Lei had a really shaky start. Like she was actually the first player to lose in round one, and she lost against Zhongyi Tan. And what ended up happening in this game was she just had a very solid position, then self-destructed, spent too much time, kind of felt like she was just rusty, just didn't feel like she was on form. And basically, the following rounds, she had like a normal kind of draw against Salimova, and then she had again like a decent draw against Gorgshina, but maybe a little bit shaky. And then the really shaky round was actually this game against Muzishuk, where I think Tingjie Lei could have easily lost this one. And then in round five again, I think against Lagno she had a losing position and managed to save to a draw. So far in this tournament, basically she had been saving these lost games, which is a really important skill. Like over the course of a tournament, if you have the fighting spirit to save lost positions, this is going to be huge. And then we see in round six she gets her first win against Humpy, which was a fantastic win and conversion of the position. And then round seven against Vaishali, she had an even more fantastic win, this beautiful attack on the Black King with the opposite colored bishops. And then in round eight, this was really the cherry on top, and she managed to get a third win in a row. And as we can see in this game, it's a really interesting game actually because Tan Zhongyi ended up playing this London system. I'm not a fan of the line that she played, but I won't go into the exact theory. But very interestingly, later in this game, we kind of got this situation, right? Where, objectively speaking, White has, White's position is equal. Um, Although it does feel like you can see how the engine suggests that bishop e7 is the only move, otherwise white is better. And up until then, I think white has had a slight edge. So basically, Tan Zhongyi had in her mind that she had a slight advantage in this position. And at this moment, Tingjie Lei is actually playing for repetition here. And if Tan Zhongyi just simply dropped the bishop back to f4, this would be a free-fold repetition and it would be a draw. But instead, Tang Zhongyi fought for the win. She played this f4. This was actually an inaccuracy. And then we see absolute savage from Lei Tingji that she just completely and utterly just played all the top moves and just completely outplayed Tan Zhongyi into a winning position. And you can see the absolute tilt at this moment. Where was it? They get to move 40 and get the added time, right? So from this moment, both sides have 2 minutes. And after this moment, both sides have half an hour. On the very next move, 32 minutes left, you can see the absolute uh, unhappiness from Tan Zhongyi. She spends all her time pretty much just to make bishop f1 because she realizes her position is dead lost. And there's no fight left in this position because she just feels that, why did she play on? Why did she play on? And these kind of decisions to like decline a repetition, play on in this position, and then lose, these are absolutely tilting. So I do think this next round today is going to be absolutely pivotal to whether Tan Zhongyi can recover, or whether she just goes on full tilt and just loses her chance to win the candidates. But what I can say for sure is whether Tan Zhongyi manages to recover not, I really think that Lei Tingji, her form, winning the last three games, managing to win this one as well, who she lost to Tan Zhongyi in round one, I think she's going to be feeling the momentum and she's going to try and take this. And the only other competitor I feel that's serious is probably Gorek But I just feel like Gorek has played very solidly this tournament, and I haven't seen this kind of killer instinct that I think is required to win the tournament. I'm kind of comparing Goryeo to Nepo's situation right now so far in the candidates. So I think Tingjie Lei and Gukesh are my bets to win the tournament. And in general, with these things, I like to put my money where my mouth is. And I had a look on this betting site for the candidates to see if I could, make any further bets. I've had a few bets already. I bet that Nakamura. We can actually have a look here. Actually, I had Tingjie Lei to beat Goryeo overall, and I think the 2-1 odds are absolutely unbelievable. We can see that we're on the same point. I had Nepo to beat Caruana. No, Nepo to beat Faruja actually, and as we can see, Nepo is way ahead of Faruja. I mean, okay, Faruja's very streaky as well. I wouldn't say it's guaranteed that Nepo's going to beat him, but again, really great odds for Nepo to beat Faruja. And then I also bet on Nakamura to beat Caruana, and as we can see, Nakamura beat Caruana yesterday, a fantastic game, and hopefully I'll get my get my winnings here as well. But since I'm really set on this Gukesh bet. I actually wanted to bet on Gukesh, and for whatever reason, even though it says 3-1 here, we've got a 7-2 bet, which is kind of like 3.5 to 1. So these are even better odds, and I really think it's a worthy stake to bet on Gukesh. So I'm gonna place my bet on Gukesh for a potential £22 winnings. Um, I think that's it. Uh, yeah, I think that's done. So yeah, I reckon people are gonna discount Gukesh based on his age, but he's definitely had the experience. He's definitely got the form. I really think that based on this tournament so far, he's got really fantastic chances to win this tournament. And yeah, those are my predictions. So please, guys, comment below what you think your prediction is of the FIDE candidates 2024. Um, this is my bet, and I think it's only until now in round 8 where I actually feel a bit more confident to like bet on who's going to win the candidates, because basically at the start of the event, like I saw like some people on Twitter like betting on who would win. I feel like it's just so impossible to make a bet because it really depends on you know exact form of the players and like who gets off to a good start and all of these different factors. So that's why I've like in general I always try and put bets on who's going to do better than who. I feel like that's a much more realistic bet to win. But yeah, I can't not bet on Gukesh given this situation. I think the odds are really good. And in general, yeah, I think Gukesh is going to win, and I think Tingjie Lei is going to get her second chance to compete for the World Championship title. And I'd love to see Tingjie Lei as a world champion. I think she'd be great. So yeah, that is everything from me. I think my hair is almost dry now, which means I can start filming for my chessable course again. Actually, the current projected date of publishing for my course is actually July the 11th, which is a bit later than I'd hoped for. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep making the videos. To be honest, I literally feel like I can't do anything else with my life until like I finish these videos. Like um, once you start going, like it's really all you can focus on. So I think I'm just gonna keep working on it, try and get it done, and hopefully, yeah, when it eventually publishes, we'll see how big it blows up. I mean, I think the course itself is really fantastic, but yeah, I guess time will tell. So yeah, let me know in the comments who you think will win the candidates, and I will definitely be watching this evening, and very excited to see the conclusion of this event. So thank you guys all for watching. Also, big shout out to the Patreon subscribers and the YouTube members. Really appreciate your support, even though my streams have kind of been flip-floppy as of late. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.